Hello everyone, welcome, subscribers and followers. So, we're all following the news. My reaction, I have many, but right until about an hour ago, I thought, let me say something about it. And the best thing that came to mind was this quote from the Bible: "Vanity, vanity, and all is vanity. All things are hard. Man cannot explain them by word. The eye is not filled with seeing, and neither is the ear filled with hearing." I suppose that by the eye is not filled with seeing, I understand we're not seeking the whole truth or justice. We see only what we want to see and disregard or ignore the rest. And the ear is not filled with hearing. The way I understand it is we speak and we debate and win arguments, and by the way we censor those who think otherwise or think in a different way, because we don't want to hear them, we don't want to give them a platform from which to speak out. And so we hear no cries for justice, the cries that would put a mirror to our face and let us see ourselves and feel shame. Ecclesiastes continues, "Nothing under the sun is new, neither is any man able to say, Behold, this is new. For it hath already gone before in the ages that were before us. There is no remembrance of former things, nor indeed of those things which hereafter are to come shall there be any remembrance." Plato had said the same thing in the 4th century BC. He said that our leaders, he said, are lacking both in the antiquity of knowledge and knowledge of antiquity. That was Plato. Now, the psalmist continues, "I have seen all things that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. The perverse are hard to be corrected, and the number of fools is infinite." The perverse, I understand to be the leaders, and the fools, the rest of us, who follow the perverse without questioning. And also those who remain silent, knowing otherwise. For to remain silent is to capitulate. And so cries for justice go unheard. And so we get desperation, which turns to savagery. And then there is butchery and barbarity. And the conceited lead, and the cowardly follow. And conceit and cowardice is quite an unfortunate combination. And we have bravado rather than courage. And we have swagger rather than elegance. And we have propaganda rather than reflection. Because charlatans are not necessarily overburdened with moral scruples. They have long given up moral restraints. And so we have malevolence and hatred and revenge. And little dissent allowed. There is no John the Baptist crying in the desert, repent, repent. We are met with sneers, the sneers of the arrogant and the conceited, who will ultimately destroy themselves, you see, because it is something about the arrogant that they always walk with their head very high up, and so they miss the stones against which they will bump, and they do not see the precipice ahead. And the humble, they may have their head down a little bit, but at least they see the stones and the precipice ahead. Actually, yes, this brings us also to the Bible, this time to Jesus, who said very clearly, "For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself shall be exalted." I thought it would be a good idea to actually, I have it here ready. I'm sorry, I was just checking here, but this is from St. Luke. I always quote from the Catholic Vulgate, yes, the Douay Rheims. And this is St. Luke chapter 14. "And it came to pass, when Jesus went into the house of one of the chief of the Pharisees on the Sabbath day to eat bread, that they watched him. And behold, there was a certain man before him that had the dropsy. And Jesus answering spoke to the lawyers and the Pharisees, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? But they held their peace. But he, taking him, healed him and sent him away. And answering them, he said, Which of you shall have an ass or an ox fall into a pit, and will not immediately draw him out on the Sabbath day? And they could not answer him to these things. And he spoke a parable also to them that were invited, marking how they chose the first seats at the table, saying to them, When thou art invited to a wedding, sit not down in the first place, lest perhaps one more honourable than thou be invited by him. And he that invited thee and him come and say to thee, Give this man place, and then thou begin with shame to take the lowest place. But when thou art invited, go sit down in the lowest place, that when he who invited thee cometh, he may say to thee, Friend, go up higher. Then shalt thou have glory before them that sit at table with thee. Because every one that exalteth himself shall be humbled, and he that humbles himself shall be exalted. And then he went on with more parables and ended up saying, he that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Okay, so that was Jesus. He that has ears to hear, let him hear. And those who see, let them see. And those who hear and see, what are they to say or do, I ask? For if we say nothing, we concede. And if we do nothing, we capitulate. I know what I have to do myself. I think at the first thing is to follow our well-formed conscience. I say well-formed, please do not misunderstand it. It's not that, in my case, that I am better than anybody else. That's not the case. But I do have a conscience that I might choose to follow or not follow or work against. But it was well formed as a child. I was taught to see the world within a moral framework, and justice is something that I feel, all of us feel it very strongly, but I cannot ignore it. I may go against it, but I cannot ignore it. And I think that we all have to listen to our conscience and then act or do or say whatever is appropriate. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.